This is Toasted with Revolution News and Information, and I'm going to pass the floor over to Judge Doucette, and so he can introduce his brand new call to us. Hello, Judge Doucette, you have the floor.
All right, thanks, Toasted. Well, people, I thought we would we'll call this call exploring the great deception that is the Matrix. And we've already exited the Matrix, and we know how to do that. But we know that the Bible tells us that there's going to be a great deception, that even the elect, and the elect are God's righteous, will be deceived. So I think that we need to be very aware of the fact that we know a lot of the fraud that is the Matrix itself, and we're aware of a lot of that, but there might be other things coming that we're not aware of, and that we get tricked back into entering into the Matrix. I've already had several people complaining at me because I'm telling everybody to exit the Matrix. There are those people that don't believe that you should exit the Matrix. They believe that you should, go in and learn how to use the system and work within the system. I have chosen a different path, which is to exit the Matrix and to stay out of the Matrix. And I have done that because I believe that the Matrix itself is part of Babylon, and we are told to come out of Babylon. We're not told to play around in Babylon and take the benefits and stuff from it in the good book. So this call may end up being more spiritually orientated for people, because what we're going to do is we're going to take the book of Enoch and the book of Revelations, and we're going to use those as our guides to try to find out what time exactly we're in right now and what is happening in those times. And so where this is the first call tonight, I don't know what kind of interaction we're going to have or how long of a call this is going to be. But the reason that I felt that I needed to do this is because of the very fact that there are rumors that there is going to be a reset happen, a financial reset here soon. And lots of people, including Anna, are touting that this is a good thing, and that with this reset, everybody's going to end up with a monthly stipend of so much, so many thousands of dollars a month, and so that everybody worldwide will have plenty of money and will be able to survive and stuff. Now, I think that part itself is a very good thing. So don't get me wrong with that. And I think it's a very humanitarian thing. But if we have to be in the Matrix in order to get those benefits, then I think it's a very bad thing. I think it's a way of deceiving the people and tempting the people to stay in the Matrix and to not do what our Heavenly Father instructs us to do, which is to get out of Babylon. And so I, for one, it doesn't make any difference if that's $2,000 a month or $2 million a month. I will not be staying in the Matrix. That's just my personal beliefs, and I serve Heavenly Father and Yeshua HaMashiach, and I tend to try to always obey His will and not my will. So, go ahead.
This is Judge Langley in Melbourne, Florida, checking in, and I appreciate everything you're saying so far.
Oh, okay. So, that's what this call is going to focus on. As we can identify things that we think that may be part of this great deception. And think about this, people. I mean, the fraud that we've already uncovered with the government and all of that, that's a pretty big deception right there. A lot of people think that maybe that's the only deception that's going to happen. I have seen that deception go so deep within everything that the government has done that it reaches out like tentacles and just keeps spreading and spreading. And I have a feeling that there is going to be something more, and something more that would even cause the very righteous to be deceived. I don't want to be deceived, so I'm on a quest to find out what that is, and I'm looking at the audience to help us identify those things, and we all talk about them together. Hopefully in the future we'll have a couple more people, and this will actually be a panel instead of just me, which was nice. I was going to try to have somebody on here tonight, and actually he's busy with another project trying to help some people, so he won't be able to make it tonight. And I haven't had a chance to reach out to Julie and some other people to see if they have the time to participate. You may.
I don't know.
You have been muted. To unmute, mute off.
Okay, I need to star. Okay. So, all right. So, what I would like to do, because this is a new call and we're all trying to feel this out and figure out the best way to go about this, is I would like to hear people's comments and what they would like to see. Again, keeping with the same theme that we're trying to do with this, but I would like to hear your suggestions. So anyone that has suggestions or comments, hit star and unmute yourself and ask for the floor, please. And let's make sure that if somebody is talking, we wait till somebody is finished, and whenever somebody says yield, then the next person can ask for the floor. So with that, do we have any comments? Do we have any more people than 2 or 3 people on the call? Oh, wow. Well, since you hadn't
if I may?
announced this, yes, please, go ahead.
Hello? Yes.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, I am rather new at this and still in the learning curve. I did attend last Sunday when the Declaration of Status was, you came up with that. And I was hoping to have just a follow-up Q&A just for people who don't quite have this down yet.
And we can do that as well. That is fine. It all deals with the matrix. And, the last call was the final call on how to exit the matrix. But if people have questions on that, I'm more than happy to take those questions as well. So did you have a specific question?
Yeah. Well, I did. A few questions. My immediate question is, everything you've ever spoken about requires some kind of recording, and this Declaration of Status, you said, does not require any recording, just the 3 witnesses, but doesn't it have to be filed somewhere?
Well, you could file it. You can file everything for records. Okay.
I would feel much better filing it.
And that's fine. So go to your county clerk, and this is the land title clerk. This is not the court.
Oh,
okay.
Okay.
Go to the land title clerk and tell her you want to file this. They're probably going to inform you that they can only file this in miscellaneous, and that is fine. And just get a certified copy of it. And then, keep that keep that copy with you. If there's any question as to whether or not you are a U.S. citizen, if you get pulled over or something like that, and you feel comfortable enough that you know who you are and you want to politely and kindly make that argument, then you have your declaration with you, and you can just show them. I wouldn't recommend this for everybody because I don't know that everybody has the experience to be able to handle the police in a polite and a kind manner and without any fear. We can all learn to do this, and we should all learn to do this. And fortunately, I've had lots of experience with it. They have tried to pull me over and give me tickets some 6 times now. I have not gotten a single ticket. But it is because I'm not in fear, and I understand everything that I'm doing, and I understand exactly how the fraud was done. And therefore, I'm not belligerent with the police or anything. It's just they don't have any jurisdiction. They believe they have. They've been trained and taught that they have. So if you want
because
to
of their status, they have no jurisdiction because of your status as national.
Well, no, they have been taught that they have jurisdiction over everyone because of Title 8, 1401, where the government claimed that that everyone was a U.S. citizen. Everyone that was born in the United States, and, go read 1401 and you'll see the fraud right there. And remember, a corporation can't just start up and then claim everybody as their employees. They can't do that. I don't care if the name of the corporation is United States of America, Inc., or what it is, or Walmart, or whatever. They can't just, start up a corporation and then go ahead.
So question on that then. So is there a so you have to know if you're claiming they have no jurisdiction over you, then you have to know some law. You have to know some title, some law to declare to them.
It would be good to understand that.
I've heard you say that you're a marshal, and that's. But if you're not a marshal, what does a normal?
I'm not a marshal. I'm actually a superior court judge.
Well, a judge. A judge or a marshal. But that's different from a normal national. So what would a normal national
That is
say?
correct. You could say just that, you are a non-citizen national, and if he doesn't understand what that is, and he's probably not going to understand, you can say that you have researched the fraud and you understand that the government fraudulently, with Title 8, Section 1401, tried to make everybody U.S. citizens. And a corporation cannot do that. And that's why I was going into the explanation of the fact that, a Walmart can't open up and with its statutes and codes claim that everybody is now an employee of Walmart. They can't do it. It's fraud. So anytime you have fraud like that, if somebody doesn't want to get hung for it, then they have to leave a remedy. And that way they're making it by choice that you are choosing to be a U.S. citizen instead of forcing you to be. And so you are choosing that remedy and not to be a U.S. citizen, and that remedy is in Title 8, 1481.
Okay, so that's
now you have your statutes and codes.
That's what you state. Okay,
Exactly. Right.
All right, a remedy by law. It must provide remedy by law, and it is Title 8, 1481.
It is Title 8, Section 14.
Section.
1481. is the remedy.
81.
If I may.
1401 is where they committed the fraud, claiming that everybody was a U.S. citizen. Okay?
All right.
So we don't want to get those two mixed up. 14, Title 8, 1401 is where they committed the fraud. Title 8, 1481 is where they provided the remedy.
Excellent.
If I may.
You may. Thank you. Judge Johnson, can you hold on a minute and let me make sure this lady is finished? So did I answer your question, ma'am?
I had one more quick question for you on this same subject.
Go ahead.
On declaration of status. I would love to be able to get witnesses, three witnesses by people that have already done this. And I have spoken with Janice, and there is a meeting on Saturdays, a local meeting on Saturdays in Lafayette.
And are you in Colorado here, or?
I'm in Colorado. Yeah, I'm in Fort Collins. Okay. My name's Via. I'm in Fort Collins. And so I would love to be able to. Hi, you're in Littleton. Well, I am a local.
I am.
And I would love to be able to attend a group that could witness me.
Well, Janice is part of the grand jury administration. And I'm sure they're always looking for new people to train. And so if you get with Janice, and they typically meet every Saturday, I believe.
On Saturday.
And we'll put a call out to Janice here after we finish and see if she can come on, if she's on the call, and allow you to arrange that with her, okay?
That sounds good.
Okay. And so did we answer your
you.
question?
I yield.
Perfect.
I yield.
Judge Johnson, you may go, sir.
Thank you. I wanted to give a little bit more information to the lady that if you're doing a web search on that stuff, I've already read 1401 and 1481, and the context of the terminology is inviting on one end and how dare you leave on the other. It puts 1481 puts it in the context of losing your citizenship, which is what you want to do.
Yes.
And for the sake of web searches, you want to list it as 8 USC 1401 or 8 USC 1480. Anytime you're trying to do a web search on a code site, and keep in mind, folks, statutes, codes, and ordinances are not law in any way, shape, form, or fashion. They are color. They do not stand as law. They only stand as policy of a corporation headquartered in District of Columbia, where their agents ought to stay the heck put. And when you're doing that, you want to list the title first of the number, then the USC for U.S. code, and then the subsection for that in order to pull it up. And the best website going, even though they act like they're broke all the time, is law.cornell.edu to search everything of code. They even have most of the state statutes.
Can you
law.
Please
Yeah, if you're gonna do put it into a web engine, you would say www.law.cornell.edu. It's an educational website. It's for the university, Cornell of the Ivy League with Brown, Harvard, Yale, etc. And Cornell's law site is the plethora of the situation. You can find the U.S. code there, most of the state statutes there that are copyrighted to the corporation's franchise of U.S., and you can also find the uniform commercial codes there. They've got this. The second best on that is findlaw.org. That's the second best.
If I may add, for anyone that is going to try this with a traffic stop, I have found a lot of success because really those are statutes and codes, and they're their statutes and codes, but they are not legal. I mean, they are not lawful, okay? None of those are lawful. All of those are done in fraud. So typically what I like to do is when the officer comes to the window, I asked him how I may help him, and he'll say, something like, well, you ran a red light. And I would say something to the effect that, well, I'm not for hire, and I'm not involved in commerce. And if those two things were correct, then you may be correct. But where I'm not in those things, where I'm traveling for private, then those statutes and codes do not apply to me. And be very polite about it. And then you can back that up with explaining to him that the fraud was committed on Title 8 USC 1401, and that the remedy is Title 8 USC 1481. And then try to educate. I always look at, when I get pulled over, it's an opportunity to educate the people as to the fraud and what's going on, because they're not hearing about it from their bosses. Their bosses are telling them, we want more people. We want your quotas met and more revenue coming in.
If I may again, Bruce.
You may, sir.
Thank you. I want to point out as well that while they think they've given us a remedy, and in their eyes they have, what they have not done, which is fraud on non-disclosure, is told us that it's there. They think they don't have to tell us. They just put it in there and that's it. That's fraud. That is non-disclosure on its face of not telling us both sides of the equation. Do you want to be a citizen of the United States? Well, I don't know. What's that entail? Well, here's what it entails, blah, 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 and here's what you get without it. Now, if folk like the boon on the 501c3 nonprofit organizations most people call churches in this country, had they known about the benefits and the immunities of a 508c1a actual church, where the term church is located in the Internal Revenue Code, Title 26 USC, they wouldn't go apply for that 501c3. The Johnson Amendment would just be sitting there doing absolutely nothing, and it would have absolutely no effect because no one applied for it. But because it was advertised, known, promoted, etc., on down the line, yes.
If I may, and see, that's where they trap people, because if you're a 501c, then they can say, well, we want to see your sermons that you're going to do every week, and we want to make sure that you're not saying gay is wrong, or being homosexual or a transvestite is wrong.
I was just about to bring that up. They
control you. They control you completely.
508, they don't. 508, they can't walk through the door. Now, they can try and presume. Right now, I'm looking forward to the day in the 508 I'm attending that they go up to, that they walk in the door, walk up to the pastor, stop the message, the whole bit, and by that point, I will definitely be in a position more so than I am right now. Now, I get to stand up and rebuke that IRS or FBI agent and everything else. What the heck are you doing outside your parameters of D.C.? Get your POS ass out of here right now in the name of Yeshua, or I'll call down the heavenly host to have you escorted out, along with this guy behind me with a .40 caliber in his pocket, and you will leave immediately, if not faster. This is a 508c1 capital A, and unless you got paperwork proving otherwise, you're done here. And if he opens his mouth for anything but, yes, sir, I'm on my way out the door, sir, he's going to get escorted out. And if he brings friends, all so much the better. They all get to surrender their lives to Jesus Christ at that instant. Or else.
Well, Judge Johnson, I'm hearing an authoritarian voice there. It's nice to see.
It's going to get more so as time goes on. I'm expecting something.
There you go.
I'm standing in faith for something extremely potent in my life, to say the least. And then you get to see a side of me you haven't come across yet, because you don't stick your head up unless it's either A, protected like you've done, or B, you can stick it up there and it won't get chopped off.
Hey, when I was sticking my head out, though, I didn't know it was protected.
Well,
just
okay,
knew
and
I was right.
that let you in on, and the father let you in on that after you got out of the holding cell.
Yes, he did. He most certainly
Yeah.
did. But I will have to tell you, before I did that, I was extremely in fear because I thought for sure what I was going to do that day, I was going to go to jail and they were never going to let me out. But I did it anyway.
They were going to get you for impersonating a judge, and and as you said, when one of the guys there in the black robe impersonating a high priest read it, he knew by the conviction of the Holy Ghost that he had a real one on his hands and not him, and said, "You got to let that guy, both of them, out now." Yikes!
Yep.
Can't have that. You got a real one in the building.
Judge Johnson, since we, we're doing a new show, we didn't really start this with a prayer. Would you do that, sir?
I'd be honored. In the name of Yeshua, we thank you, Father, for blessing us to follow your lead, to give us your strength, your boldness, your direction, and all the tools necessary to get this done for your glory. We thank you, Lord, and praise you for your blessings today. And in the name of Yeshua, we give you praise for all these things for your glory. Be it so.
Make it so.
So what is the new format?
The new format is all about the Great Deception. It is exploring the Great Deception that is the Matrix, because I think we found a lot of what the Great Deception is, but I'm truly concerned that there might be other things come up that we have not found yet. One of those things that I'm really concerned about. Well, yes. One of those things that I'm extremely concerned about right now is Judge Anna and a lot of other people are attesting to the fact that, we're going to have this reset, and with that reset, everybody's going to be given a monthly stipend, and that is going to be a very humanitarian, great thing. And my caution there is that if you have to participate in the Matrix at all to get that, it is not a good thing. And must we remember that in the book of Revelations it says that even the deception will be so great that even the elite,
actually that's in Matthew 24. Yeah, the elect, and it's in Matthew 24.
And the elect are God's righteous. So if even they would be deceived, then I think we need to do our due diligence here and make sure that we look at everything that comes down the pike from a spiritual aspect. And and also what we're trying to do is take the book of Enoch, the book of Revelations, and look at those and look at where we're at and try to give people an idea of what time we're in exactly. So it's all of those things.
Yeah,
much
I get
more
that.
spiritual than just exiting the Matrix, though, because there are a lot of people that I feel have probably exited the Matrix that will end up getting back in, and they will be wooed in by large sums of money every month and all of that. And
we don't want to go there.
Don't do that. Really.
Might want to reach out to Rob Skiba for that stuff. He's done an excellent dig on all that.
Oh, has he? And what has he got recently?
There's a documentary out. You got me hooked on him through the Flat Earth stuff.
I love Rob Skiba. I think the Spirit is truly leading him, I read all of his stuff.
There.
Him and Trey Smith, all of their stuff I can get. I read.
I would also recommend Tim Dyer if he gets himself going. He did a couple of recent shows on his Rob's evening radio program, and wow. I mean, wow. I would go back. I'm going to try and get you hooked up with those links here in a bit. Of course, with your email situation.
Email those links to me, and I'll listen to them for sure. Because
Tim Dyer did some digging. Even surpasses Rob. So if you can get Rob on there and lay some of the direction out you're going with this as far as Enoch, because he's done digging through Enoch, and he's done Revelation research, he's done Nephilim research and all that stuff. And if you haven't done
the research with some of the research that he's done with Revelations, I really like, because there were some parts that were really confusing. So he took and translated those back to Greek and then back to Hebrew again. And guess what? They don't say what our book says.
I know.
Yep.
And it infuriates me that the control factor of that.
I'm saying that for other people's benefits.
I get.
Greg.
I know you're doing it for the call. I get that.
Right.
He had a couple of 2-hour conversations with Tim Dyer that I'll get you hooked up with. And if you haven't, I know you've listened to his Virtual House Church. I've heard you do that a couple of times. And I highly recommend virtualhousechurch.com for everybody to go through that. Now, he does get a bit repetitive in there for the sake of new listeners and things of that nature that we do here. However, the information in there, as far as I'm concerned, is platinum, and does an excellent job with it, breaking things down. If you have not really dug into the Torah, Rob has solved that problem. And I'm a big fan of the Torah now. In fact, I just downloaded Friday afternoon a documentary called The Way, which is people rediscovering the Torah and getting back to it, getting rid of the Christmas, Easter crap, and getting after the 8 festivals, 4 in the spring and 3 in the spring and 4 in the fall, or something like that, and realizing what our Heavenly Father has bestowed upon us in the blessing through those things. And Rob's in there. So
in the Virtual House Church, they actually go through the tour every week for a whole year. And that is the best way to really, if you're not familiar with the Torah, it's an excellent way to familiarize yourself with it. And it's beautiful. All Scripture is beautiful, in my opinion. So.
All right, Judge. Anyway, I'm going to mute out and give you the ball back, and you have fun with it.
Well, let's see what we've got for suggestions. So where we left this before Judge Johnson and I got into this discussion is we were opening the floor up for questions and comments. And if you have questions and comments on the last program on how to exit the matrix, feel free to ask those. If you also have suggestions on where you would like to see this new call go, and I'm really relying on a lot more of the listening audience participation from this. I hope to put a panel together for this call as well. And speaking of which, Greg, would you like to be on that panel?
Say that panel again. Right. What's the panel again?
The panel is just going to be me and Roger and probably Julie and a few other people discussing this exact subject and taking questions and answers. I figured you would, sir. You already volunteered for it. I heard you while you were on mute. I heard you volunteer. Yes, toasted. Oh, yes, I will. Greg, get with me later, and that will be the Wednesday night call with a different password. So what Toasted is doing on these calls is the host will have one number that we call in on, and then the rest will use the regular Sunday night call.
Okay, you realize you just said Wednesday.
Yes, it is the Wednesday night call number. Oh, yes.
Oh, well, I'm already on the host code with
Sunday night. The rest of the people will use the regular Sunday night call. Thank you.
Please don't get your days confused. I'm already doing something on Wednesday evenings, and you already knew that. You're the one who nominated me and then along with Keno.
I heard you, volunteer for that as well.
I
I
can't
hear
do
you
two things at once.
volunteering all
you
the
know
time,
it.
Greg.
Yeah, well, you need to work on your
Anyway.
you need to work on your hearing aid.
Anyway.
So you're going to be
so
doing
anyone,
you're doing a different Wednesday call from the judges, marshals, grand jury administrators one?
No.
Okay, so you're talking about the Sunday night call you're doing right now is just taking a right turn.
No, now you're confusing the hell out of me. No, the call-in number for the panel on Sunday night will be the same number as the Wednesday night call, only a different access code. And
gotcha.
you call me later.
So you're using the judges. So you're using the 712-775-0075 number or whatever.
7035. 7035.
7035 number. Thank you. But you're just using a different access code for tonight's. You're switching from the toll free to that one.
No. But for the rest of the people, the Sunday night call will always be the toll free number. For the panel members only will be that number that you just
I see what you're saying. Okay, gotcha. All right.
Toasted has it split up. I'm not sure why he does it that way. I think it's so that we get less background noise. It's fine. However he wants to do that, it's perfect. He's got a hint, so we just follow his directions on that.
Got it. 10-4.
Okay.
I yield the floor. Now I see where you're going. All right, bye.
Okay. And, that's another thing that, hold on, just a second. And that is another thing that I would like to say before I forget, and then I'll let Toasted go. Toasted has been very gracious to record all of our calls that we do. And, he's doing calls almost every night now. And that chews up his bandwidth. Anyone that can afford to donate to Revolution News and information on YouTube, please do. Because, we're all out here spending our own money trying to make all of this work so that you guys can listen to these recordings and, even if it's a couple of bucks, that will help. Now I yield to you, Toasted.
And 4.
Okay, so anybody else that would like to make a comment or join into the conversation, hit star and ask for the floor. Geraldine, how are you?
Good evening.
Go ahead, ma'am.
What was the name of that gentleman that had the virtual house church that you were talking about?
That's Rob Skiba, Skiba.
Okay, what's the first name?
Rob, R-O-B, for Robert.
Okay, and S what, D?
Skiba, Sierra, Kilo, India, Bravo, Alpha.
Thank you. I yield.
And Rob's a really nice guy as well. You'll really enjoy him, and you'll definitely be able to see that he's being led by the Spirit. And, maybe one of these days we can get him to come on this show. That would be a lot of fun. I would enjoy that. So.
May I?
You may.
I have a suggestion for the direction a call may go, because I've heard you talk about this in the past, but what about exposing the history of the fraud, such as through certain acts such as the Patriot Act or the Banking and Emergency Relief Act and all of those, and say, this is basically how it started and this is the progression. That way people can go, oh, and they kind of have a better understanding of the history of how it all came about.
Well, part of what we're going to do with this, we'll cover some of the history. Not necessarily all the way back like that. The reason that Roger was going to panel this with me is he is reading that book that exposed the the fraud of how they made us all citizenships or U.S. citizens. And this same attorney with that book has exposed how they've done the mortgage fraud, how they've done the credit card fraud, and all of that stuff. And so Roger will be coming on and sharing us where this fraud was committed and the remedy for those things as well. As far as the history, the best place to go for the history stuff is AnnaVonRitz.com, or get the book, and you can now download it in the PDF format for, I don't know, I think $2 or something like that. But you know something's wrong when a probable cause, help me out here, Greg, affidavits for probable cause. And that is the history.
Judge Anna's book is called "You Know Something's Wrong When ... An American Affidavit of Probable Cause."
There you go. Okay. And so that will give you the actual history of everything and the different treaties and stuff where all of this fraud was started way back 200 years ago.
If you're wanting the nuts and bolts with some code thrown in, you want The Fruit from the Poisonous Tree by Melvin Stamper. I've only read 20 pages of that, and I can already tell that's another spoke on this hub that Melvin Stamper has done. Anna's got her own spoke. There's David E. Robinson who's got his own spokes. There's a lot of folk out there that have brought this stuff forward in excellent capacity. If you're looking to explain this to a 10-year-old, Judge Anna does that better than anybody I've ever seen in my life. If you're looking for nuts and bolts, David E. Robinson has practical applications as well as explanations, and Melvin Stamper's book is probably the best for someone in the higher English department. I yield the floor.
Okay. So I guess, what I'm looking for is information to help educate people like employers and stuff like this when they want you to fill out a government form, and you kind of know that you shouldn't be filling it out, and then all of a sudden you're kind of having headbutts with people that are not understanding and stuff like this. So it's just that it is what it is, and I just didn't know if there was an easy way to
Okay, Judge Anna's book would be the best.
If I might for a second on that, Bruce, if you're needing to fill out a form, one thing, make sure you're from the perspective of being a non-citizen national. And if they ask you, why didn't you check the box that says U.S. citizen, I said, do you have any proof I am one? Well, you're standing here, and I said, yeah, I'm a living man at last check. And you can essentially prepare mentally in advance on that by knowing what they're going to ask, the questions they're going to ask back at you, because they're kind of coming from only one direction. That's make you a slave. They want you to stay on the plantation. If you fill it out from the perspective that you're not a part of the plantation, and say, well, I can't fill out half of this stuff because it applies to citizens of the United States, I've never been one of those. I was never supposed to be one of those. And they're going to look at you weird, like, you're a three-headed alien. Well, you better go get your supervisor, because he may be able to handle this, or Mr. Supervisor can't handle it. How about the manager of the office? Keep going up the chain of command until you find somebody who says, all right, I get it. It's fine. Come over here to this side room over here, and we'll discuss this out, and they'll change their contract immediately. They may even have a different form completely for non-citizen nationals.
Well, unfortunately, I'm dealing with the proprietor of the business, so I can't go any higher. And then one of two things. Let's just say I got to be an employee, and in fact, I tried to do this at my last job last decade, my last employment last decade that I got fired from in 2006 for making a major mistake I shouldn't have done. However, I got distracted and it happened. In any event, I was already in dialogue with the company for stopping withholding, and I didn't know half. I didn't know a third then of what I know now. If I went into the same situation again and had to fill out the application just to get the job in the first place,
And they said, yeah, we'll take you on all that. He said, I even have a different tactic on the W-4 form. And they may, at that point, decide, we can't hire her because you're not a citizen of the United States and you're giving us all this gobbledygook. I said, thank you for that you've given me the claim of discrimination on being, knowing more than you do. You're discriminating me because of what I've learned. Thank you for that. And they would probably switch up their gears immediately. Okay, we won't withhold your wages. Great. But the IRS, I don't care about the IRS. They can come knocking at my door all they want, and they're going to get sent away. What are you doing outside your jurisdiction of D.C.? In fact, you don't even belong to D.C., you don't even belong to the United States. Get back over to London where you belong right now.
Yeah.
What fun that would be.
Oh, that'd be nice.
Well, we will get there eventually. The more this fraud gets exposed and the more people that are woke up, then, the more this we'll see changes. It will be slow at first, but, then they'll happen faster.
All righty, I yield the floor.
All right, thank you. Do I have anyone else for the question?
I have.
You may.
This is Janice, and I had a comment. I went and applied for my 5-star passport, and they sent everything back to me with a letter that was pretty intimidating, stating that I had to put my Social Security number on the letter, and it just went on and on and on. And then it said because I turned in my old passport, that they were using that as proof that I had been a U.S. citizenship. It said your evidence of U.S. citizenship has been retained by our office and will be returned to you once the application process is concluded. Now, I had sent them a letter saying that I would be changing my status because I filled out the first passport in error. So I sent them a really long letter with the code 8. Let's see, Section 208. 42 USC 408 on you don't have to give them your Social Security number. And I sent them 4 pages of Supreme Court decisions on how you don't have to be a U.S. citizen, because they were making it seem like you had to be a U.S. Inc. citizen to get a passport. Sent them 2 pages in small print on that. Sent them
in that?
Say again?
Did you quote Title 8, 1401, where and 1481?
No, because I sent it out just before I heard that story, and I went, darn.
Okay, well, if you
but
get
I
it back
did
again,
invoke
slap them with that.
in equity a statement setting them straight, and so now I'm just waiting to see if I get it or not. But,
for me personally, I'm not chasing the 5-star passport.
Okay, I am and here is my explanation to you why. If I get the 5-star passport, then they put a little asterisk in the computer against my name, and when I'm pulled over by a police officer, he'll look up my name and he'll just happily go on his way. If I have to explain it, and he got in a fight with his wife that morning, I may get tased because I didn't look at him.
We haven't been able to verify that they actually put a asterisk next to your name. There are rumors of that out there, but Julie tried to verify that, and there was no asterisk by her name. So I don't want to send people chasing that because of that information. We've had people claim that is the case, and we have not been able to prove that yet.
In this article that Steve Nolte got from the California group, common law grand jury group. It was a 13-page article. It indicated in there that you did get an asterisk, I thought, next to your name.
I haven't read that document, so I don't know. Couldn't vouch for that because I haven't read that. Like I said, we have heard that is the case. And when Julie got hers, she went and had a police officer try to verify that, and there was no asterisk by her name.
Perhaps it was too soon, because she might have. It might take a month to show up. I don't know. And
it may. She was going to try that again to see if it was just because she tried to do it too soon. So
yeah. If I may on that right quick.
Go ahead, Greg.
Thanks. I have heard 3 testimonies concerning the asterisk issue, and most of it has to do. I'm sure right now, Bruce, you've got an asterisk by yours, just as you are.
Yeah, just because they know they don't want to deal with me anymore.
Your fiction, I'm sure there's one beside yours. You've already testified that the last guy who tried to get you for the red light running went and ran yours and then brought it back to you and say, and left you completely alone. He made it sound as if he came back almost whimpering.
And Greg, I actually have sent a copy of my driver's license to someone, and I'm having it checked through NCIC to find out if that is the case.
Interesting. All right. Any event, on the second part, I need to yield the floor and the call. I got something else I need to do.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Greg.
I bid you good night. Yep.
All right.
Good night.
So, if you do end up getting a 5-star passport, or if you do know somebody that does have one, I mean, we would actually like to get a photo of the police screen if we could, showing that, and being able to prove that. But at this point,
that would be great.
At this point, still, it's a rumor, but not one that we can prove yet. So that would be my caution to people is, we try to make sure we give correct information, and until I can prove it, then I'm not willing to say that is the case.
Yeah.
Anyway, anything else, Janice, or was that all you had?
Just that, I wanted to state, if somebody goes after their 5-star passport, lose their first passport and only give their authenticated birth certificate, in that then they can't use that as a ploy to say you're proof of U.S. citizenship, because then you have to backpedal and disclaim all of that. So just when someone is applying for a 5-star passport, lose their old passport and just give, other documentation. That's all I'd have to say on that.
If I may?
Janice, you're yielding, correct?
Yes, I yield.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
Hi, this is Judge Mickey. How are you guys all tonight?
Hey, Mickey, how are you? Doing good.
Oh, my gosh. Did Bella tell you the story about what happened to us today?
No. So
you've not been on with Bella yet?
I have not, no.
Oh, my gosh.
I have tried
You're
to
not
call
going to believe
Bella
it.
a couple of times today, but I have not gotten a hold of her yet.
Well, first of all, to the lady that just was believing about the 5-star passport with the asterisk by your name, I would have to say, in my opinion, that's a false, because of the fact that, first of all, our friend has been pulled over who has a 5-star passport, and he has been given 4 tickets, and he's still fighting them. So in my opinion, there is no asterisk, there's no do not detain, there's none of that. And second of all, what I was going to share is, here's a real life true story. You know how, Bruce, you talked about how your status changed when you took your oath, everything changed?
Yes.
I believe the same thing happened to us today. You know who Janet Lind is, right?
Who is? I'm sorry, I didn't hear the name.
Her name is, I believe she goes by Janet Linda.
Oh, MJ.
No, not MJ, not that one. This is Jan Linda. She's the one that comes on calls quite often and talks to people.
Okay.
Anyways, long story short, she came by to visit us today. She was coming to our town because she's going to come stay with us for a couple weeks. And in the process of her traveling, she gets pulled over about an hour away. I'm talking to Bruce. She gets pulled over about an hour away, and she is pulled over by the highway cops in Wisconsin. And so basically what happened was they kept her for an hour and a half. Yeah, an hour and a half. And basically they took her, she had certain traveling papers with her. She has, and I believe it's an international driving permit. And what else did you give them?
World passport.
Her world passport.
My diplomatic ID.
And her diplomatic ID. So they kept checking her out, and then they were on this with this supervisor, that supervisor, the other supervisor, and they weren't letting her go. And she got a hold of me about a half hour into the conversation and wanting to know if there's anything I could do to help her out. And so I said, well, let me see what I can do. So I called the highway department, and I introduced myself as, Judge Michaeline Joe. I'm a U.S. Continental Supreme Court judge on the land, and I said of common law grand jury. And so I said, you've got one of our people, and you need to let her go. And I was kind, and he said, well, where's this at? And I gave him the location. And then he said, ma'am, he said, what's your phone number? So I gave it to him. He said, I tell you what, he said, I will have the sergeant that's on the scene call you immediately. So I thought, well, that's cool. He didn't ask me for any more credentials. I think I did tell him I said that I am registered with the Wisconsin Secretary of State. I did give him that information. So then, basically, he the guy didn't call, so I was on the phone to Jan, and she kept telling me, well, they're coming to talk to me, now they want me to get out of the car. And I had already advised her,
oh, God.
You lock your car door, you roll up your window, make sure it's only about an inch of the way up. So she was talking to them through the window, and basically what happened was, so then they didn't call back. So I called a second time, talked to a different dispatcher, and this was a guy this time, and he said, I told him the same thing, told him who I was, and I'm a judge on the land, I'm a Supreme Court judge. And so then he said, okay, give me your number, I'll have him call you. So again, same thing. The guys didn't stop. They kept trying to get her out of the car. They were badgering her. I could hear them on the phone badgering her. If you just come out and talk with us, talk with us. So I told her, tell them I do not accept, do not consent, I will not contract. So she did. So they kind of were there, but they were kind of leaving her alone. Well, then they had to go make some phone calls, and I guess they talked to some supervisor or whatnot. And basically then, so I called back again and talked to the dispatcher, and the dispatcher then said, okay, he said, when I talked to him again, I said, okay, either you're a liar, I said, or you're just not doing what I'm asking you to do. He said, ma'am, they're going to handle it out there, and they're going to handle it. I said, okay. I said, all right. So I hung up the phone. I get a hold of Jan. Now the guys come back, and these are Highway State Patrol, Wisconsin Highway State Patrol. They come back to the car, and they tell her, we're going to leave now, but you need to stay here because you don't have a valid driver's license, and we can't let you drive. But we're going to leave now, and then we're going to just come back and check on you every once in a while to make sure you're okay or something like that. So Jan gets hold of me, and I said, well, hey, you get to leave. I said, and you don't have to worry. She was afraid that they may have done something, that they would have put a tracker on the car or something. And I said, no, you're good to go. So in the meantime, we had been in contact the whole time with Marshall Haywood, and she was giving us instructions. She had actually told my husband, Marshall Ben, to go and arrest the guys that were doing what they were doing to Jan. And so anyways, I think that's why they left, because that was the situation. Well, now I got to tell you a funny part about this story. So Jan takes off. She decides she's going to go to Walmart, and she didn't take the phone in with her. So for about a half hour, 45 minutes, I cannot get a hold of Jan. And I'm thinking, oh, man, Did they follow her, and down the road, did they just take her off to jail? Is that why she's not answering? So I had talked again to Marshall Haywood, and she too suggested I call the highway department, and this is where it gets really funny. So I called him again. I said, look, I'm looking for that gal, the woman that you had on the side of the road. I'm looking for her. And I said, have you taken her into custody? And, of course, each time that I called them, I introduced myself again as the same thing. You know, the judge on the land and the whole bit, and the other U.S., Continental Supreme Court judge. And he goes, no, ma'am. He said, we didn't. I said, by the way, did you put a tracker on her car? He says, no, ma'am, did not do that. And I said, well, we're having a little bit of trouble locating her, and given what you guys did in your harassment of her, I said, we're having a little bit of problem. He said, ma'am, I can assure you we did not touch her. And so then he says to me, he asks me my name. I said, well, I gave you my name earlier. I said, my name is Judge Michaeline, and I went through the whole thing again. And so then basically he said, well, where's your business? Can I have your office address or your office phone number? I said, I've already given you that. So I gave him the home number again. He started to ask some other questions. I said, look, I'm a judge. I said, I'm not tolerating this any longer. I said, here's the deal. I know your game. I know you're a private corporation. I said, I know also that you guys, all the corporations are under U.S. Inc. I know that U.S. Inc. is run by the Vatican, and I know that the Vatican really is in charge by Pope Francis. And I know that Pope Francis has done a motu proprio, and you guys are to leave the American people alone. So I said, that's what I know. All of a sudden, it was like he couldn't get off the phone fast, and he's all, okay, ma'am, and it was just hilarious. It was, he all but hung up on me. And that's my story, and yes, Jan is here, and she's doing well, no ticket, no nothing.
Well, good. We always like a good story, but yeah, we have to learn to stand up and not let them bully us into their jurisdiction or into consenting in any way, shape, or form. And I'm sorry,
right.
but, getting out of your car is consenting.
Right, and so that's why I just wanted to tell you guys that I believe exactly what you said was before, Judge. You said, I really believe what you said before about only needing to do that oath, or if someone doesn't want to take an oath for marshal, judge, or whatever, if they do the new oath the way that it's been redone and worded for people just every day, I believe you're right. I believe that's the only paper we need, because those guys, I don't know if they looked up some credentials of mine. I have no idea what they did, but they were unbelievably respectful. Never once treated me like a belligerent and a rebel like they might have in the past.
Well, if you're respectful to them, I have always found that they've been respectful to me as well. And, I had one of those hour-and-a-half stops, and I had actually Marshall Spring and Ben in the car, and this was in Oregon.
Okay.
And, but I was respectful the whole time, and by the time we finished, I did not get a ticket. I handed the state trooper a Constitution, and I think he was educated enough by the time I was done with him that he actually went home and read it.
Wow, that's very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. But I'll tell you what, just having them leave her alone just like that, it was amazing. It was an amazing thing.
Yep. When we don't give up our jurisdiction, they have no, as long as we're not willing to give up that jurisdiction and we understand that, then they can do nothing anyway. So
you cannot believe how they were badgering her to get out of the car. Oh, we just want to talk to you. I was listening the whole time. Oh, we just want to talk to you. If you just step out of your car. It was bad.
No, thanks.
Yep, and she didn't do it, so she's here that. Anyways, that's all I have to say. I just wanted to share with everybody that I think that's a real positive thing that, once again, shows that these oaths are very real. So I yield the floor.
Okay, and the only thing that I would add to that is if somebody has voted, please make sure you resend your voter registration because, as Roger told us last week, that is one of the things that they use to justify the fact that you have consented to be a U.S. citizen. So remember, if you voted, do that as well. Resend that.
Absolutely. I haven't done mine yet. I haven't voted for years, but I received a card in the mail basically telling me that I needed to re-register. So in some sense, I am off their list, but I want to make sure I'm formally off, so I will be sending my letter hopefully this week.
Well, if they're sending you information telling you you need to re-register, you're obviously still on the list. So, yeah, make sure you do that. Okay, anyone else with questions or comments?
Yes, Charlene again, may I?
You may, ma'am. Go ahead.
Okay, a friend of mine printed off of your Facebook the copy of that oath. Now, is that we can have either or, the notary or the 3 witnesses?
You're actually better to have 3 witnesses than a notary.
Okay.
So, it's stronger if you have 3 witnesses versus a notary, but if you don't have 3 witnesses, you could use a notary.
Oh,
I don't like the notary thing because that is in their system. When you use 3 witnesses, it's not. Okay?
Okay, I have another one that's kind of off topic. I've been searching through my 400 pages of notes that I have for the last 16 months, trying to find the website to go to see which companies have been using my name for commercial purposes.
I couldn't help you with that. I have not been to any of those, and I don't have the address.
I was just hoping maybe somebody on the call would have that, because I've gone through all my notes.
Then,
I know I've written it down somewhere, but I can't find it.
Okay. Well, I know it was on my Facebook page for a while, too, so you could go back and look through that. So.
Okay, I'm not real savvy with Facebook, but I'll see what I can dig up.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. I yield, and I will do the witnessing.
All right. Thank you. Anyone else?
If I may?
You may.
Little Deer in Colorado. Hi, everybody.
Hello. How are you?
Doing okay here. Thank you. I got my passport back. Now, I just thought I'd let you guys know how that whole thing went. It's kind of funny, especially after hearing the story earlier, because I was all ready for the phone call or something. And I filled out the application, went to the post office. I sent in my authenticated birth certificate, and everything came back. Nobody called me. Zeros for the Social Security number. I didn't have any resistance whatsoever. The passport card has... Go ahead.
Oh, I was asking if you got the 5 asterisks.
No, it appears to me to have 3 stars on it.
Okay. And that means they're not considering you a national for some reason. We had another guy that actually had gotten a 3-star, and his wife got the 5-star. They both applied at the same time, and he actually ended up sending back in the 3-star and correcting some other stuff on there. I'm not sure. I don't remember what it was, but he did end up getting the 5-star eventually.
Well, that was, we were trying to figure out why that happened. It's not, for traveling everywhere either. If you read on the information that they send back with it, it's clear that it's for Mexico, Canada, and the Caribbean, I think, pretty much. So I wondered, if it had to do with, I just put a destination down there in Mexico and, put a 6-month thing. So I'm going to call tomorrow, I guess, and ask them why this is
I believe
correct.
with the other gentleman, him and his wife filled theirs out exactly the same. There was something with his work history that was different than hers, and I guess that was the reason that They gave him a 3-star, and he had to go back and dispute it with them and say, no, I'm a non-citizen national. I want a non-citizen national passport. And so he had to fight with them and go through some hoops, but I do believe he finally got it. So.
Okay. Well, I'll keep you updated. I'll find out what happens tomorrow.
Okay.
What happened with that? Thank you. I yield.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else with a question? And anyone, you may need to hit star and then unmute yourself. Yes, I heard somebody.
Yes, Bruce. Hi, this is Pam on Florida.
Hi, Pam. How are you?
Is it possible to have a bit of a round table on your calls, or are you just going to be centering?
No. I think that would be a good idea. As far as, and that's why I'm trying to get other panel members and stuff. It's been a busy week this week, and so I didn't really have enough time to figure out where I was going to go next with the call, especially since we had finished the Exiting the Matrix, and my plan is to put a panel together. Toasted, go ahead. Okay. So, I think we need, participation and information coming from the people as well. The more eyes that we have looking out there to see as far as what this great deception may be or what else may be part of it, I think the better off we are. So,
yes,
would welcome that.
Bruce.
Yes.
I would like to ask also if you're going to have like something regarding assemblies and things of that sort, if that's possible, to let us know in advance, because I have a lot of contacts I can get the information out to. I just need to know, because some of these people don't have the slightest iota that I know, and others, they're on top of it. So I don't know. Is there an email address we can send our suggestions to?
Hold on, Toasted, for a minute there. What do you mean if we're going to have an assembly? I'm not sure. I'm following.
Any talk on any more of an assembly and things of that sort, so people like newbies could get themselves a little more educated on the matter, as opposed to going to the meetings. There's a lot of people that just won't want to go to meetings.
Not really the focus of this call. For assemblies and stuff, people need to go to the Wednesday night nationwide call.
Okay, all right.
Because, that's where they're dealing with setting up assemblies and getting counties and states set up and stuff. And so we already have a call that addresses that. This one here, I'm trying to stay focused on, exposing the great deception, and making people aware of that. Okay.
Okay, and if it's possible, I'll send you an email, and I will. It's something very important. I think that it's very profound, and I really do think it's important. If you could have a look-see at it, it would be good. My name's Pam. I'm in Florida.
Okay. Is this something that you want to bring forward on the call or not?
No, not right now. It's financial, and if it's happening in this county, it's happening everywhere. And the other day, I just thought of it. Dear Lord, it's asymmetric warfare. Is what's happened. Mm-hmm. It's basically what's happened financially, and no one has the slightest iota. So I sent you.
Is Roger aware of that?
Somewhat.
In Florida.
Yeah, but I think I sent you guys some of my work before, and I think people really need to check it out because it's all about depth, and there's no need for it.
Okay.
Anyways, I'll just send you a few documents, and you can have a look. You see, it's self-explanatory. It might be a little read, but If you have any questions, you can...
my problem is that I get so many emails these days that I don't have time to go through them. I mean,
all right, I'll just talk with
used to
Roger
be
then in the morning.
Yeah, talk with Roger on it. Make sure he's aware of that, please.
And then I think if it is something, but I don't think he's aware of the depth of it.
Okay. Well, actually, he was supposed to be on the call tonight, and there was some financial issue going on with one of the counties down there, and he was dealing with that, and that's why he couldn't be on the call tonight.
I yield. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
May I?
You may.
Hey, how you doing? My name is Gabriel from Texas.
Hi, Gabriel. How are you, sir?
Hey, this is DW.
Hey, yeah.
Hello?
How are you?
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, my phone's kind of acting up.
I'm not DW. This is Judge Doucette.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. I just been off and on listening to I've been off and on listening to the live call. I just have some questions here. Kind of figure out what direction to go. I already did my DBA, and I'm going on a different process from another group, and the DBA and trying to lock the name, and try to go to probate court and all that stuff and equity, because I want to be a private American, and at the same time don't want to be a U.S. citizen no more. But the way I see how you guys doing it, it's like I'm not really familiar about this, and I had like different questions. I was talking to DW about I'm a truck driver. So I'm concerned about my license and different things going on. Like I'm a payee for my stepfather. He collected Social Security, and I'm a payee because I'm taking care on his situation with on the I'm a an agent from a power of attorney. So I'm thinking if I'm going forward with this, I don't know what's going to happen as far as the process. What's going to happen? Do I have to contact the Social Security Administration and say, hey, look, I'm not a U.S. citizen no more, but I'm a payee, for example, and then what I'm going to do with my license, since I'm a professional driver, so all those stuff. So I just don't know how it's going to work. If anybody could shed some light, tell me, exactly how this goes, because I don't want to. I like to exit out of the system, but I just want to make sure that, I don't want to set myself up for failure, on this. So I hope I'm not throwing my question. I hope I'm not throwing the call out off,
The only thing I can answer for you is if you're looking to just get out of the matrix, then, we have the answer for that. As far as how that is going to affect your exact situation, I without knowing it fully, and I don't really have the time to get into knowing it fully, I couldn't advise you on that. I can tell you how to get out of the, how to stop being a United States citizen. So anything from there, you're going to have to do your own research and figure out how that is going to affect your exact situation. I may have some ideas on it, but without knowing it exactly, then I wouldn't want to give anyone bad information.
Okay, so is there any way we could talk privately about this, or just try to?
I try not to do the one-on-ones because I have the rest of the country here that I'm trying to get set up with common law grand juries and common law courts, and also handling Ryan Bundy's defense and stuff. So my wife already doesn't get to see me, and I really don't have the time to take on anything else. But, there are some people out there that you can talk to. Try going to the Wednesday night call, the nationwide call, and see if we can find somebody in your area that can help you with that. Okay?
Oh, okay. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Blessings. Bye. Anyone else on the call? With a question? Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, this is the other Roger in Kansas.
Hello, the other Roger in Kansas.
Okay. Are you sure that's on your Facebook on the corporations that are using your name? I had that one time. And I've lost it.
It was probably a couple weeks ago. It was on my timeline. So in my timeline, I mean, somebody can post something on it and it's buried a half an hour later. So you're going to have to do some digging to find it. But yes, I'm sure I've shared it several times.
Have you any idea what they called it or the name of it? I'd like to find that again. Okay.
Sorry, I don't.
Yeah, on Friday night's call, Steve Curry and I was talking, as far as I know, I'm not on the voter registration list, but like he said, they still have possibly the power of attorney of your name. So that's why he recommended that you go ahead and send in that form.
Okay.
So.
And if he's talked to you about your specific, situation, then, I would suggest that Judge Curry is very knowledgeable. He knows what he's doing. So I would suggest probably that you follow his recommendations there.
Oh, okay. And the only other thing was Nelson was wanting to know if there was one form that they could fill out to cover all the bases. And I said, well, your declaration of your oath of office as a judge should take you out of the matrix. Very plain, very simple.
It should do that. It should do that. The caution is if you just resend and there's actually a form on my Facebook page that Roger Dowdell did up from Florida. The voter to resend your voter information, and in that as well, it claims that you're not a U.S. citizen. That will work if you have voted in the past. I have to be careful with the oaths. I think the oaths will work fine for it. I know they worked for me, but I have never voted. I'm 56 years old and I've never voted. So,
well, I'm 77 years.
Well, there you go. I just want to, again, I try to be careful and say, okay, for me it works because I've never voted. If somebody has voted, be on the safe side and fill out 2 pieces of paper that doesn't cost you anything and just send them in.
Okay.
Okay,
I'll yield.
This is Geraldine again, may I?
You may.
Okay, with the guy that was just talking about Social Security, there's some information on that in the Errant Sovereign's Handbook. Augustus Blackstone, I just got that within the week, and there's pages there that tell you, and it kind of has a format of a affidavit where you can withdraw totally out of Social Security, or you can partly out of Social Security and still remain, have your benefits. He says if you put a lot in there and you're an older and you want to keep the Social Security, you can do it that way. Or if you want to totally withdraw out of it, then it requires a different a letter. But that's in like pages 47 to 51, somewhere along in there. And it's also available, and I don't know exactly where or how, but it's in PDF that you can check out on the website. But that has information on how to do that. I yield.
May I?
And thank you for that. Yes, you may, ma'am.
I have a question. This is Marsha on Florida. I know that in the corporation, the legal age is 18, but on the land, Continental, would that be more like 13 since that's the age of the militia?
Yeah.
Like if someone was going to witness, could a 17-year-old be a witness on that declaration of the right of suffrage?
As long as they're a living man, I don't think there is a limit on that. You got to remember, all of this limits on ages and stuff is stuff that the corporation made up. So, we don't have to follow their their rules and regulations, especially if we're not citizens. Okay?
All right, thank you. I figured as much. Thank you very much. I yield.
All right, thank you. And do we have anyone else with a question?
Hello?
Hello?
Hello. I don't know if you can hear me. This is Dave from New York.
We can hear you, Dave. Go ahead.
Oh, great. Thank you so much. Just wanted to say it's my first time speaking on the call, and I just wanted to thank you, Judge Bruce, and Toasted for hosting these calls. I've listened to some of the calls in the past on the How to Exit the Matrix series. So thank you very much. What I wanted to ask is I noticed that you said last week was the last call for the series. So what I want to know is this call being recorded as well and being replayed anywhere or that I can access?
Yeah,
and,
this call is recorded the same place. Revolution News and Information is recording it. And now that we're done with the Exiting the Matrix, the whole objective for this call now is trying to identify the Great Deception. And not only trying to identify the Great Deception, because we know what part of it is, but also to try to look at Scripture, look at the Book of Enoch and the Book of Revelations, and try to determine what time we're in exactly, and try to follow along with that as things change. And the time gets shorter to make people aware of that.
Right.
So this will be an ongoing call where we'll attempt to do just that. We'll attempt to look at things as they come up and examine them and decide whether or not we feel that that is part of the Great Deception, and give our opinions on it. And so this one's going to come a little more from a spiritual standpoint than just the Exiting the Matrix did.
Okay, awesome. And you will replay it on YouTube as was
it'll
Exiting
be
the Matrix?
replayed on YouTube, plus it will also, Toasted usually copies it to my timeline on Facebook as well.
Sounds great. And
for any of you who don't know who I am on Facebook, because I'm not Judge Doucette on Facebook, it's Bruce Doucette, and you will know if you have the right Bruce Doucette because under work it says Superior Court Judge at United States. Sorry about that. Sorry, I didn't mean to step on you. I was trying to allow people to find that show if they weren't already friends with me on Facebook. I already have several thousand, but anyway, it's Bruce Doucette, and I'm in Littleton, Colorado, and my icon is actually a photo of my wife and I. So, did you have any other questions, sir?
I did have a follow-up. As far as I heard you mention for people in previous call, you talked about people that are involved in foreclosure and what help can, what resources would you suggest, or do you know of that I can
actually
access?
And we covered that kind of earlier. One of the things, and Roger couldn't be on the call tonight, but the same book that we discovered the remedy for getting out of the matrix. Well, this guy, this same lawyer covered the fraud with foreclosures and credit and all of that stuff. And so Roger couldn't be on the call tonight because he had some important things come up. But in the future, he will be on and sharing both how the fraud was committed and the remedies for those things as well.
Okay, I got on, I thought this call started 9, maybe it started a little earlier, but I got on about 5 minutes after. Maybe I missed the first little bit where you talked about that.
It starts at 6 o'clock Mountain Time, which would be 8 o'clock Eastern Time.
Oh, okay, so I did miss about an hour. Okay.
Yep,
Great. I'll listen to it.
You can go back and listen to that, and that'll give you the references on the book and stuff as well. And you can actually get a free PDF copy of that and read the remedy for foreclosures yourself. Okay?
Awesome. Thank you so much, Judge Bruce.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Take care.
Anyone else? Anyone else with a question?
If I may.
You may.
So I had an interesting theory. The easiest way I found to explain this to people when they ask is I think of the Amish. They live on their own land, and they don't pay taxes. They only pay taxes when they're doing commerce with United States of America employees. They don't go to hospital, and the reason they don't pay taxes is because they don't go to hospitals when they're born, and they know they don't have to sign a birth certificate, or their kids have to get Social Security numbers to create an account with the United States Social Security Office and the IRS, which links them to the IRS. That's why they don't have to do it, because they know they don't have to. They live on their own, and they live on their land because they are sovereign citizens. But anyway, that is
a very good point.
I mean, if you know what the Amish is, you can understand how this works.
And they resisted that technology and everything else, and kudos for them. Heavenly Father has got to be very happy with them. So, very, very good way to point that out. Thank you, sir.
I yield the floor. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Going once?
Yes, can you hear me?
Oh, I can hear you now. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. I hope that's me you're talking to.
That is you I'm talking to, sir.
Hello?
Yes, that is you I'm talking to, sir. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Uh-oh.
No, you have the floor, sir. We can hear you.
Okay, I'm hearing something else, so I thought maybe it wasn't me.
It was you.
Okay, thank you. This is Steve Price from Arizona.
Hey, Steve, how are you?
I had a comment, or could be a suggestion, and it has related to the lady judge that was talking earlier about the pullover of another lady.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
That was Judge Mickey, yes, and I'm sure she's still on the call.
Judge Mickey, that's right. Well, it has to do with that, and it's a suggestion. Here, a few months ago, there was an apps that I think was on something like GoFundIt, and they was trying to raise money to get this thing going. I don't know if they ever did or not, but I thought it was pretty interesting. It was an app that you could put on a phone, and if you got pulled over, you could hit a key, and it would start recording, and I think it was supposed to relay that to a permanent recording so they couldn't unrecord it. And also, if you wanted to, you could also add an attorney that it would call, and the attorney could talk to the officer on the phone. And I was thinking, if it's feasible, that this might be something we might be able to use if people get pulled over, if they could maybe call one of the judges or have several judges on speed dial or whatever, and be able to have a judge talk to the officer and or even the marshal, and maybe get around some of these kidnaps, because once they get you, they pull you into the web, and you may never get out again. I know it may be.
Sir,
hello?
That is an awesome suggestion. Matter of fact, I have seen an app out there, and I've been trying to find it, but there is actually an app where if you get pulled over, you can actually, if you have this app up, you can send out an alert, and it will give your GPS location. And I'm thinking that if we can give that to the marshals, now that we're in the process of, swearing in some 9 million marshals, then all of the marshals that are close to you could actually drive to the location and correct the police officers that they have one of ours and this is a non-U.S. citizen.
Yeah.
And
well,
do that peaceably.
That would sound good if there was enough marshals here and there, but if you live in a rural area and there's no marshals anywhere around, it isn't going to do much good. But
if
we have cell phones now, we can call in just about anywhere. And if it was possible, if it was okay with, say, some of the judges that volunteered or whatever, or maybe Haywood, to put them on a speed dial, and when you get pulled over, we could just get them on the phone and have the officer talk to them, the judges or the marshal or Haywood or whoever, and have them explain to them, because they won't listen to the driver. They won't listen to the person in the car. That's a fact. That's been my experience. It doesn't matter what you have to say. Doesn't matter how many documents you have to show them. They're not interested. But listening to this judge that just got this girl from getting arrested or kidnapped and imprisoned and all of that, get caught up in that web. I was just thinking to make that suggestion, and maybe it could be considered by the other judges and the marshals and so forth, and see what you think about it.
Well,
just a suggestion.
I'm actually looking for this app that I was just telling you about, and it does have the ability to call as well. So it could accomplish everything that you're talking about. Plus, you could actually have backup there, because it actually broadcasts the GPS location to all marshals that are part of the system. And then that way we can start protecting.
That there is another thing. Now, I think that, I'm not sure, but as I recall, that was called Sidekick. But I wouldn't swear to it. It's been a few months, and I'm pretty old, and I don't remember so good. But there is another service that you can get, and it's called Phone Tree. Have you heard of that?
I haven't. No.
It's a service that you can get, and when you dial a number, if you're in a situation and you need help, you can dial one number, and it calls multiple other people, and alert them. But then I guess that would be more like if you had somebody close by that could come and and help you in your problem. But I live out in the country, and anybody that I could possibly imagine that would be in any involvement in this, it wouldn't happen. I mean, I would still be
I'll tell you what,
just as well wouldn't have it. There's nobody coming to my rescue.
There are people out in the middle of nowhere now that are marshals. Out in the middle of Castilla County with a very small population, we have 2 marshals out there. And when somebody calls,
that may be, but unless you have marshals close at hand and they're able to react, as far as coming to the scene, I don't know that they'd even have to do that. I think probably a lot of this could be handled on the phone. It depends on who's got you pulled over and their attitude, of course. But, if somebody like a judge or a marshal or whatever identifies themselves as a marshal and so forth and so on, and then tells them that what they're doing is illegal, and explaining to them what they could be charged with if they continue to do what they're, just give them the spill. And I think that may not work in all cases, but I think it might work in enough cases to make it feasible.
Well, would you do would you do some research on that for me, sir, and see if you can find the name of that program, and we'll look into that, okay?
Well, which
Because
one
I do like
is
the
that?
sounds of that. Whichever one you thought would work best for you. If you can.
Well, I think as far as we're concerned on here, I think just having some judges and maybe the marshals on our phones that we can put on speed dial, and if we had say 5 or 6, 7 or whatever, and you call one, and if they're not available, you try another one until you can get somebody that can get on the phone immediately with the officer. Tell the officer, here I've got a judge that wants to talk to you.
Yep. Toasted, are you trying to get in there on that? Okay. What do you need, sir?
Hey, I just want to let you know, I already have it. There's already systems like that already out there. One of them is called Ad Hoc Alert. It'll actually alert what the people that getting these notifications will do. They can do it on their phones, tablets, whatever they want, laptops, emails, text messages. They can register themselves and tell them where their location is. And then what it can do is you can push an emergency mass notification, and it'll disseminate a message to all the people that are in that nearest location, and they can call you back with
DJ,
that number.
And this is Judge DJ, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I need you to do some research on that app.
We use it. I already used it. I know what it does.
Well, let's find out who makes that and contact them and see if we can get them to do a special one for the judges and marshals and for the non-citizens to use. Because I think there's a way to customize that. And I think that would be amazing if, if the police is trying to kidnap one of our people and 50 people show up and you got 50 judges and marshals there saying, no, you can't do that.
Yep. Yeah, I understand. I understand completely. I mean, and this is, you can do it, and I'll tell you, you can do it on PA systems like public address, fire panels, social networks, sirens, display boards, two-way radios, IP phones. I mean, you name it. If it can communicate, even landlines, it will get a message out to them. And I'm sure we can get it customized to do GPS location.
Okay. Have you got time to work with them to see if that we can get it customized?
Yeah,
and
I'll contact
I'd be
them
willing
tomorrow.
to help you. I'd be willing to help you with that if you need. And if you would email me the information on that, do you have my email address?
No, but I'll get it to you. Get it from you after the show.
Let me give it to you real quick. I don't mind giving it out.
Okay.
You ready?
Sure.
IQ175Bruce@gmail.com, and make sure in the message you put let's put ad hoc system for marshals.
Gotcha.
Okay? And
That's
we
good.
need to get that for all of the people so that everybody, as they come out of the system and they're non-citizen nationals, and if they try to get kidnapped, then we can come to the rescue. Can we add, maybe we can add features so that that person that is putting out the alert, if a judge is available, that the judge can call his number. It will actually broadcast his phone number, and the judge can call him, and he can hand the phone to the police.
I will look
about
into that. I'm not 100% sure
we'll
yet.
talk about it.
Okay.
Because I think this is an awesome suggestion and something that we need to implement, and we can probably bring them a lot of business. So let's see what we can negotiate with them. Okay?
Yeah, and just to let you know, this is actually D from Revolution News in the G chat.
Okay.
Google Hangouts. Just
All right,
let you
well,
know.
thank you.
This isn't any judge or anything.
Okay.
Make sure everything stayed truthful.
Oh, yeah, no. Well, if you can get that information.
I will get it to you right
me,
now.
Then, okay. Or if you can get that to Judge DW, too, and he has time to look into that. I've got so many things going as it is. It would be nice to put somebody on there. Another one to send it to would be Marshall Haywood. Good. All right. I mean, and would you have him bring that up to Marshall Haywood on the Marshall's call, please? System. Okay. All right. Thank you.
I yield.
All right, sir. That was an excellent suggestion, sir, and we'll see if we can get right on that and get something in the works for you.
Okay. Could you please repeat your email address? I didn't get it, and I don't have it. I've got your phone number, but I don't have your email.
All right. Let's give it to you again. It's IQ, as in intelligent quote. Yes, that's my IQ. IQ 175 Bruce. Bruce. Yep. At gmail.com.
Okay.
And if you forget that for some reason, you can always re-listen to the call and get it as many times as you need. Okay?
I think I got it. Thank you very much.
All right.
And I sure would appreciate that. I don't know how all that other stuff works, but I've had this on my mind.
I think there's a way to tie these all in together, and I think you're absolutely correct. We need to start doing that so that they stop kidnapping our people. So,
well, I was on the call Friday, and I believe I heard, I think it was Judge Nelson that kind of poo-pooed these pullovers and these citations and so forth. But in my opinion, there's a lot more of those. I know he's talked about, I get into more serious things, and I expect he's talking about the kidnapping with children and repossession of homes and so forth, and that's all important. But they make millions and millions and millions of dollars off of these damn citations, and we need to choke them.
Yep, that's a good idea. Good suggestion.
Well, I'm sure.
Okay, did you? All right, thank you, sir. Who's next?
Marshall Haywood.
Next? Well, Marshall Haywood, how are you? I didn't even know you were on.
I am awesome.
What do you think about that? If we had that app and we had that set up with the marshals, and anyone that got pulled over could just hit that app, and any marshal that was in the area could make haste to that location.
Yeah, I think that's a very good idea. But now, how we handle it today, and I want to go over this, is because we had one marshal and one judge in Wisconsin. Okay, and Jan was traveling there, and that's when she got pulled over from state troopers. Now, I don't know how many state troopers were there, but she was doing what Judge Mickey was telling her to do, and Marshal Tom was doing, because they were both on the phone with me. And I said, tell her to say this, tell her not to say this, and don't say nothing else. I said, and what you need to do, was talking to Judge Mickey, I said, you need to go over their heads, because they were not listening to anything that was being said. And a lot of times these officers won't listen because, of course, we know they're on ego trips, especially state troopers. I said, go over their heads, go to the supervisor of dispatch, tell them who you are, tell them that you have a lead continental marshal on the other line, and they are to cease and desist from this natural woman now, or there will be consequences. And she did that. She worked out of authority and did that, and then called me back and said they've dispersed, they left the scene. And I said, well, then they've left. That means she's free to go because they have left. And so we didn't hear from her for a little while. And Mickey called me back, and she said, well, I'm worried because she's not answering her phone. I said, well, don't worry. I said, just call and make sure that they did not go back after her, like put a GPS or anything on her car while they were surrounding her car, which she did. And the supervisor said, oh, no, ma'am, we are not
going after her whatsoever, she is free. And then a little later, she said, she's here, you know, everything's good, you know, thanks for your help, whatever. But sometimes, like when you're in a state that doesn't have a lot of marshals, or you don't have somebody that's right there beside them, we're going to have to use that tactic, because some of these deputies that are out there are not going to just listen.
Well, and if we can use that program though, and actually have a judge on the phone talk to the officer and make him stand down, then that may suffice as well. So I think that we really need to look into this program, Marshal Haywood, and I'll be more than happy to help you negotiate something with them. But maybe we can get a special program for the people that have exited the system, and that way we can all help protect one another. And even if you don't have, even if somebody isn't a judge or a marshal and they've exited the system, you know, if you surround if the police pull somebody over and all of a sudden they got 50 cars pulling up to them, saying, no, you can't kidnap this person, and recording it, then, you know, we've got our proof right there that we need as well.
Right, exactly. And that's, you know, what Judge Mickey said was, she told them, she said, look, if y'all do not cease, then, you know, you're opening up a world of pain that you do not want to go down. And that's exactly what she told them. And he was like, oh, no, ma'am, I'm pulling them now. And, you know, she's still sitting, because the troopers actually told her, before they left the scene, they said, stay right there and don't move. And I said, no, tell her not to stay right there and not move. I said, they have authority to. I said, they've left the scene, therefore they left that jurisdiction, and she needs to continue.
I was calling to see.
Okay, we have somebody that needs to mute out here.
Lola.
Hello. Somebody needs to mute the phone out.
Oh, okay.
We're in the middle of a call here. Sorry.
That's all right. Sure.
All right, go ahead, Marshal Haywood. Continue.
Anyway, what I was saying is when
Mine is good.
when those troopers left, they told her to stay right where.
Did we lose you?
Okay. Well, somebody keeps muting me. But anyway, the troopers told her, you stay right there. Okay, and I immediately said, no, you tell her no.
Did they mute you again?
Her herself. They left that jurisdiction. She did not have to sit there. And they were like, well, what if they put it? I said, I don't care if they put a GPS on her car. It doesn't matter. They know that they were unlawfully doing something. Their supervisor told them to cease and desist. They left the scene. Therefore, she is free to go. There's no more detainment.
Right.
So tell her to carry on now. So she did that. And that's what we have to let everybody know, that when that situation happens, you know, if they leave the jurisdiction and they leave you, you don't have to sit there and wait for somebody else to show up or whatever. You go on about your business.
Well, and they had no jurisdiction over her in the first place because she has exited the system. So they can't give her an order. So, you know, sorry, but, you know, they want to think they have all this power. They don't. And they're going to have to learn to accept the fact that they have power over U.S. citizens, and that's it. And they need to stick to their jurisdiction. So
exactly.
If
anyway,
I may?
thank you. You may.
I actually have Jan here. She would like to speak to the group.
Go ahead.
Hey, hi, Bruce. Hi, Bella.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine. Listen, I firstly want to thank you so much, Bella, for your extensive and immediate work, because without you and without Mickey and Ben, man, they were so angry. It was the force behind their words that commanded these people. You should have seen they tried to get me into their jurisdiction no matter what. Now, I handled myself in that I cooperated with them in a nice way. I held them and bound them to their oath, And what happened was they actually came out and said they insisted I come out of the car and that they really wanted to talk to me about my name because they couldn't find my name in the database anywhere. And they weren't happy with these documents because the international travel passport that I had from D.C. was insufficient to them. They wanted the fiction, the passport, the federal passport, and I stuck to my guns and kept those documents. They were insufficient because they couldn't find me in their database. And so they spent about an hour and a half making phone calls, pacing up and down, and looking at the back of my car, which was a South Dakota license plate. So, and in South Dakota, they gave me a warning, which was what the initial officer said he would do, because I pulled off on the shoulder on the wrong side when I exited, and I was basically in the middle of the ramp. I was just going up and staying over to look at a map, and so that's when he came out of nowhere right behind me, and he was going to give me a warning, and everything was fine. But he decided to bring his sergeant, and the sergeant is the one who really caused all the delay and the trouble. And they actually got so desperate that they wanted the initial officer that showed up on the scene said, "This is an order to come out of the car." And I said, "Am I under arrest?" I said, "Then I insist that you release me, that I leave." And he said, "Well, we can't allow you to operate this vehicle. And you have an insufficient, you're not traveling, you're not driving." He used the word driving. I said, "I'm not driving, I'm traveling. And I have a right to travel the roads freely. And there's certainly you don't have jurisdiction over me as a private American. So I'm not going to answer any more of your questions. I've been very cooperative up to this point, and I have a continental marshal and a judge and a justice, continental justice here, insisting that now you will be liable if you continue in this manner." So, and then luckily for Ben and Mickey, who were in constant contact with Bella, but they were so desperate. "Please, you need to discuss your name a little bit better if you'll come out of the car and talk to us. This is an order." And so they actually manipulated and attempted to manipulate and coerce me to come out. But these are little tricks that one would not know, and without the cooperation of continental marshals and judges there, you have to have, you should carry that with you for your state, or carry it with you for anyone that you know, because I was fortunate enough to be within the vicinity of these wonderful people. But for those people that are states away, I initially tried a couple of options. One was Greg Johnson, and of course he was too far for me. But what about the people that are states away? And you just need proximity. You need to have a listing of these.
And
I was in Georgia, so I used mine through Georgia.
Yeah,
I'm sorry?
It doesn't make a difference. Bella was in Georgia, so she wasn't anywhere close to you.
Oh, I know.
Marshall Haywood, yeah. So I think some sort of an app like this where we can have phone contact as well, where a judge or a marshal can call you if you get pulled over, and you send out an alert, as well as the fact that, this is part of the reason, people, that we need to get all of our continental judges and marshals set up in all of the states, right, and that everybody needs to step up and do their part.
Well, as soon as
we're getting
the second car
way off track. We're getting way off track for this call. So
okay.
I'm glad that everything worked out okay, and
let me give another piece of As soon as the second car pulled up, I knew that they were trying to do something, and the delay in giving me this warning so I could return it within 3 days and have nothing to do with them. But as soon as that second car pulled up, which was about 20 minutes later, I then contacted Mickey and Ben and Greg. And so that's really, as soon as you see some aberrant behavior, if you have a list on your phone, that's when you start to send out these messages.
Yep. Good suggestion. And I've been surrounded by up to 5 cars before, so I know exactly what you've been through.
I was pretty shaken up, though. It came as they really wanted.
Fortunately, I've never gotten a ticket or any of that. Okay, people, I want to try to get this back on the track for this call here tonight. Although this is good information for everybody, and I would suggest that everybody listen to all of the calls, the marshal's calls, the nationwide judges and grand jury administrators call. All of them are very good calls. They all have good information on for what people to do and how to get involved once you exit the matrix. So, do we have any more questions or comments with the topic of this call, please?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Well, I actually have a close friend of mine, and he actually came into this corporation, illegally, and he has a really tough time, getting around, getting work, being harassed by police officers. What kind of suggestions would you give? Maybe I was thinking about the oath or something like that. I'm not sure.
I guess you need to clarify your friend's situation a little better, because I'm not sure how to answer that because I don't have enough information.
Oh, okay. Well, he came into this country legally. He crossed the southern border there. That's what.
Okay.
And he has a hard time when he applies for work. They ask for Social Security, and then whenever he fills out a W-4, it says either you have a permanent green card, or either you're a citizen, or if you're anything else, they won't hire you. And then to get a driver license, he can't get a driver license because they ask for a Social Security number.
Well,
so
that's kind of the reverse of what we're covering on this call. We're covering how to exit the system and not have a driver's license and green cards and all of that stuff. I mean, we are all people, and whether you were born in this country or not, you have rights, and those rights come from your Heavenly Father and not from any government. And you exercise those rights the same whether you're from this country or another country. If some corporation is trying to get you into their system, please get out. And don't apply for their license and their permission and stuff, because we're trying to help save souls here. It's not about, whether you're a natural born American or not. It's about souls. And anyone that is in the Matrix or in Babylon should come out. So, my suggestion would be is to have him do a declaration and that he's not a U.S. citizen, and file that with the county clerk. And there is no crime not to be a U.S. citizen. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
But
okay.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
All right. You're welcome.
All right, man. See ya.
Any other questions?
Yes, I have a question.
Go ahead.
Okay. Yes. Well, you just brought up that about how to not have a driver's license. So there's my question. My driver's license is coming up for renewal, and I have no idea what do you do if you change your status? I mean, how do you not have a driver's license?
You know, I would suggest, and I want to see everybody exit the matrix, okay? But I would suggest that if you're not, if you don't know what to do yet, learn what to do before you do something like that. Go back and listen to the Exiting the Matrix calls, listen to the Nationwide Judges calls, and learn what to do. Because I certainly don't want anyone, you know, staying in the matrix if they don't have to. That is your very soul that is at risk. It's more than you just being able to travel around and stuff. So you're going to have to get in there and do the research if you're just now learning all of this, and find out and then make your decision on what you want to do. Okay?
Okay.
It can be difficult, but it can be done. And, you know, I've been pulled over 6 times in the last year and have not gotten a single ticket. Can everybody do that? No. If you don't know what you're doing, then they're going to throw you in their jails, and then you're really going to be in the matrix. And I don't want to see that either. So, you know, short of that, the only thing I can do is tell you that you need to educate yourself as to the fraud and who you really are. And you need to do that. It needs to be a priority, because it also has to do with your soul, not just getting out of the system. Okay?
It just seems very technical because of car insurance and accidents and...
It's really not that bad. Once you learn how to do it, people do it, and people have done it for years. I mean, there are some people that have done it for 30 years. So you have to understand who you are. But boy, if you don't know who you are, it's not something that I recommend that you do until you know who you are.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, it's just it's just learning curve. I feel like I'm back in college.
Yep, I know. It's been that way for all of us.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you, ma'am. You may. Who do you want to get with Marshall Haywood? Toasted. On which PIN code for the Marshall's call? Oh, to give her the PIN number for this call. Yes, I will. Okay. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Any other questions, people, regarding the topic that we're covering here tonight?
What is the topic?
The topic is the great exploring the great deception that is the Matrix. So the topic on this is supposed to be, and we've kind of gone all over the place, and sometimes it's hard to keep these shows on topic, but the whole purpose for this call, now that we know how to exit the Matrix, is going to be looking at whatever comes up that may be part of the great deception that is spoken of in the Bible, and to make sure that we don't get trapped in that deception anyhow. We know that part of this great deception is the government and what we thought we had for a government and all of this fraud, but I have a feeling that there are some other things that are going to come up where they're going to try to trap you back into the Matrix. And so we're going to keep an eye out for those things, as well as to try to keep an eye out with the book of Revelations and the book of Enoch, and figure out exactly what time we're in. Okay?
Yes, thank you. I yield.
Okay, so that is our our topic. Does anyone else have questions regarding the matrix and the deception?
I just have a quick question. Again, Dave from New York. As far as when I look for this on YouTube, will it be under that heading, Exploring the Great Deception?
Toasted, how is it going to be on YouTube?
Sounds great. Thank you,
Okay.
Toasted and Judge Doucette.
You're welcome.
I yield.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Going once. Going twice. Okay. Pretty good call for another Sunday night. We're going to end the call for tonight. I would like all of you to be looking for things in the news and stuff as they're happening as to how they may relate to this call. Anything that may be a deception to get people back into the matrix, and be prepared to talk about those things next Sunday night, same time, same place, and blessings all, and good night.
Good night. Thank you all.
This is not 70s porn music. This is Toasted with Revolution News and Information, saying thank you for joining us. Go in peace. And I'm going to leave the call open and unmuted for anybody that wants to talk. Good evening. And good night.